Haven't you moved out yet? Get out of here quickly, haha. My mother-in-law said this while dismissing me with a gesture as if she were shooing away a bug. Standing next to her, Anna looked triumphant. Behind them, I could see Kyle looking worried, watching us. You don't have to rush her like that. Just go quickly, Anna said, holding back her laughter, and Kyle looked sad. I smiled at him and glared at my mother-in-law and Anna. It's okay. I will leave in 2 hours. Oh, really? Then hurry up and pack your things. Michael, my ex-husband, also spoke with a nasty smile after hearing my words. Why did I ever marry this man? As I was thinking this, an email arrived on my phone. Ah, my ride seems to have arrived, so I will take my leave. The message stated that my ride had arrived. I grabbed my belongings and quickly left my in-laws' house. Thank you for coming to get me. As I got into the luxury car parked outside, Michael and my mother-in-law were visibly surprised. Hey, what's with this luxury car? I am Hillary Stone, a 27-year-old female entrepreneur. Ever since I was young, my dream has been to start my own design company. Hillary, you are really good at drawing. Yes, I want to design various clothes. I always love to draw, especially girls. I would think about what colors and clothes would make them look cute as I drew. I want to study design more professionally. Eventually, I became interested in design itself and decided to go to a design school. There, I met many inspiring people and one particular person. I really like your designs, Hillary. I want to draw designs like yours, said Erica Parker, a daughter from a major design company. Thank you. I love your designs too. Really? I'm happy to be recognized by you, Hillary. Erica, you're studying business as well, right? That's impressive. Erica was learning business knowledge from her father while studying design. I respected her and was glad we became friends. Hillary, I feel that you have a talent for management too. Shall we study it together? One day, Erica offered to study business management with me. In the process, I started to aspire to have my own company. After graduating, I trained under her father's guidance. He was a mentor to me. Hillary, you'll be fine. From now on, just try and do what you want to do. Years later, encouraged by Erica's father, I finally started my own company. I realized my dream and was living a busy yet fulfilling life. Hillary, there's someone I'd like to introduce to you. Could you meet him? One day, my mentor suggested a matchmaking meeting. Apparently, his friend's son was still single and without a partner, and his parents wanted to discuss it. My name is Michael Reed. I've heard about you, Hillary. He later became my husband. He was serious and was sincere in building a relationship with me. Attracted to him, we dated for about a year before getting married. I'm so glad such an attractive person has become my son's wife. My mother-in-law warmly welcomed me and wholeheartedly celebrated our marriage. According to Michael, his father had left home a few years ago. Afterwards, I was supposed to be enjoying balancing work and family. One day, I got a call from my mother-in-law. I had received a call from my mother-in-law while at work. I was in an important meeting and hadn't noticed the call. That day was particularly busy, and I had no time to call back. I'm probably going to get scolded. After finishing work, I sighed and made the call. You finally called back. I've been waiting. I'm sorry, I couldn't leave work. Well, that aside, I have something important to discuss. Usually, she would complain, Why didn't you answer the phone, or you should return calls sooner? But today, she moved on to another topic smoothly. Feeling a bit anxious, I listened to her. Actually, I need some financial support. Surprised by the sudden request for money, I was lost for words and could only utter, "Huh." During that pause, my mother-in-law started to state her case. It seems Anna, Michael's sister, had divorced and returned to her parents' home. So, the household finances have become strained. Is that so? Not just Anna, but her 3 children are also here, my mother-in-law muttered. Hearing this situation, I internally struggled. As a business owner, I can afford to offer some support, but being family doesn't mean I should readily give financial help when we aren't that close. You're not going to abandon us, are you? I didn't think you were such a cold daughter-in-law. Perhaps sensing my hesitation, my mother-in-law suddenly raised her voice. I sighed. I'll discuss it with Michael and decide, so please wait. Despite feeling fed up, I responded that way. Before our marriage, my mother-in-law was a very nice person. However, since getting married, her interference has become too much. Are you taking good care of Michael? Aren't you neglecting household duties to work all the time? I receive messages like this every day. Honestly, these kind of conversations were very troublesome while I was busy being a president. That's why I once clearly told her, "I'm sorry, but I'm busy with work. I'm also running a company. A woman's job isn't that big of a deal. Listen properly to what I'm saying." When I argue back, she gets angry with her own interpretations. My mother-in-law doesn't believe that I'm a president. She seems to think that I'm just doing clerical work or menial tasks. I actually have a significant role as a president. "What are you talking about?" Michael might be, "but you can't possibly be a president." Don't lie. Even when I argued back clearly, I was met with such responses. My mother-in-law didn't believe a word I said and treated me like a bad daughter-in-law who lied. Now, she was saying, "You're not doing a proper job, and you don't help around the house. So, at least provide some support. I'll talk to Michael about it." I told her again and forcibly ended the call. Honestly, even after discussing it with Michael, the outcome was clear. To suppress my anxiety and stress, I left out a loud sigh. "Hey, I got a call about the support from your mother." That night, I immediately consulted Michael about his mother's request. "So I see. Well, I'll leave it up to you." His response was cold. His attitude has changed after marriage. He used to be a kind person who would listen to anything I said, but now he barely listened at all. Anna came back home after her divorce. Huh. Anna. When I mentioned his sister's name, he suddenly shuddered and looked at me. "Did you just say Anna?" "Huh?" "Yes, your mother mentioned Anna." Surprised by Michael's reaction, I nodded. "We're not short on money, so maybe it wouldn't hurt to help out a little." Until now, Michael had always shown no interest in my desires, simply saying, "Do whatever you like." However, as soon as he heard the name Anna, he began to listen seriously. I didn't like that. "If you say so." Well, maybe just a little. But I was glad that Michael had finally listened to me for the first time in a while. I earn a decent amount as a president, but I can't give too much. The moment she asked for support, I had a bad feeling. "Thank you. So how about $3,000 a month?" $3,000? That's a bit much. For now, I'll send $1,000. $1,000. Well, it's better than nothing. Thus, I decided to provide support of $1,000 per month. That amount seemed manageable, as it wouldn't require major changes to our lifestyle. Just when I started providing support. "Who is this number from?" I received a call from an unknown number. I was suspicious but thought it might be a business contact, so I answered. "You finally picked up. What were you thinking? Making me wait? Sorry, may I know your name?" "It's me, Anna." The call was from my husband's sister. She probably got my contact from her mother. It would have been nice to get some explanation, though. "So, what can I do for you?" "Oh, right. Thanks for the support." It seems she called to express gratitude for the support. But isn't $1,000 a bit little? Even though it was said jokingly, it irritated me. Is this the attitude of someone receiving support? If you're dissatisfied, I can stop the support. What's that? You have such a small heart. Are you telling me to let my children starve? That's terrible. Anna complained and then hung up the phone. Maybe I made the wrong decision. After talking to Anna, I thought about reconsidering the support. Still, the decision to provide support was my own. Let's wait and see a little longer. So, I reluctantly continued the support, but there were no words of gratitude. "Hillary, why don't you come live with Mom and everyone at the family home?" "Huh? What's going on all of a sudden?" One day, Michael suddenly proposed living together at his parents' house. It seems his mother hurt her back, and they wanted us to live with her to take care of her. But Anna is there, right? She's back living there? Anna is busy with her children. She can't take care of Mom on top of that. Michael replied to my objection. We had many discussions, but neither of us could compromise. I'm fed up. It's going nowhere, so I'm taking drastic measures. Eventually, Michael sold our house under his name without my consent and sent our belongings to his parents' house. As a result, we ended up living together at his parents' house. Get to the housework quickly. Right. Since you're staying here, at least be useful. Both my mother-in-law and Anna treated me like a servant, using me whenever it suited them. While I was at home, they would command, "Clean the room, make this because I want to eat it." If I came home late from work, they would say, "What are you doing out so late? Really unclean." And they would mutter these sarcastic comments day after day. This sarcasm added to my exhaustion from work and housework, pressing down on my spirit. "I'll help you." In such circumstances, the one who helped me was Kyle, Anna's son. He helped me secretly, so that Anna and my mother-in-law wouldn't notice. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Actually, when I asked, he reluctantly told me the truth. My father's name is Michael Stone. Michael as in? Wait, you mean? Yes, she's not his sister. In fact, Anna was not Michael's sister but his mistress. They had known each other since their student days, and it turned out that Kyle and his siblings were indeed Michael's biological children. You're kidding. Shocked by the truth he revealed, I was left speechless. Soon, anger filled that void. They have completely scorned me. I couldn't let this go. Resolved, I began to take action. After making preparations, I presented Michael with divorce papers saying, "I want a divorce." What's this all of a sudden? I know everything. About you, Anna, and Kyle and the children. Watching him react indifferently, I felt I might no longer mean anything to him. That's good, isn't it? You don't need such a useless wife. That's right. Michael has me, so she's no longer needed. As Michael was about to say something, my mother-in-law and Anna cut in. Encouraged by their words, Michael signed the divorce papers. And thus our divorce was finalized. Come on, you better leave soon. While getting the divorce papers ready, I called someone to prepare to leave the in-laws' house. I had prepared in advance, so I could move out that very day. So I planned to leave as soon as possible. My mother-in-law watched with a mocking laugh. Haven't you moved out yet? Get out of here quickly, haha. My mother-in-law said this while shooing me away as if swatting a bug. Standing next to her, Anna, the mistress, had a triumphant expression. Behind them, I could see Kyle looking worried, observing the situation. You don't have to rush her like that. Just go quickly, Anna said, holding back laughter, and Kyle looked sad. I smiled at him and glared at my mother-in-law and Anna. It's okay, I will leave in 2 hours. Oh, really? Then hurry up and pack your things. Michael, my ex-husband, also spoke with a nasty smile after hearing my words. Why did I ever marry this man? As I was thinking this, a message arrived on my phone. Ah, my ride seems to have arrived, so I will take my leave. The message stated that my ride had arrived. I quickly left my in-laws' house with my belongings. Thank you for coming to get me. As I got into the luxury car parked outside, Michael and his mother were visibly surprised. Hey, what's with this luxury car? With their astonishment behind me, the car started to move. It really has been tough, hasn't it? The voice from the driver's seat was my friend, Erica. I had been confiding in her for a long time. You should stay away from that family. She had been advising me this for a while, and when I told her I filed for divorce, she immediately said, I'm on my way. It usually takes 2 hours to cover the distance, but she arrived in minutes, so maybe she had been waiting nearby. Now is the time to start things going, Hillary. Show them what you're made of. Of course. I'll make them regret this. She expressed her anger towards Michael and the others as if it were her own. While thanking such a friend, I shared my plans with her. For now, is it okay if I stay at your house as planned, Erica? Of course. I would be staying at her house from now on. Erica's residence was much larger than where we had lived before, or the in-laws' house. So even with me moving in, there was plenty of room. Your house really is spacious, Erica. Though I also run a company, standing in front of her family home, which has been passed down through generations, makes me feel the difference in class. You must be Hillary Stone. As I was lost in thought in front of the luxurious house, a man approached me. Let me introduce you. This is Fred Owen. He's a distant relative of mine. He is Erica's relative and a lawyer. I would be seeking his help with claims for damages and other legal support. Erica has told me a lot about you. I look forward to working with you. Rest assured, we will definitely win. Encouraged by his confident response, I smiled back. And we immediately started taking action. First, we would demand compensation from Michael and Anna. I was also preparing to sue my mother-in-law for imposing housework on me and for verbal abuse. I've gathered plenty of evidence, I said, handing him the evidence documents. I was able to gather this evidence because someone had helped me. With this evidence, the lawsuit should proceed smoothly. Thanks to these documents, I was able to smoothly initiate lawsuits against them. Soon after, hey, cut the jokes. Michael called me. What's this all of a sudden? I haven't made any jokes. I received the lawsuit. What is this supposed to mean? What do you mean? It's obviously the consequence of your adultery. He must have thought he could divorce without any accountability. I smiled over the phone and replied to Michael, "Don't worry. You'll definitely be held accountable." Hearing my assertion, I could tell that Michael was lost for words on the other end. "Are you really going to do this?" "Of course. Don't think you can mock me and get away with it." Feeling his disbelief, I hung up the phone. This was just the beginning of their nightmare. I intend to give them the retribution they deserve. "Why did you do this?" The day after Michael contacted me, I received a call from my mother-in-law. "What do you think you're doing sending this?" She apparently saw the copies of the evidence I had sent along with the compensation demand. It was a video of the harassment she had subjected me to. This evidence was sufficient to proceed with the lawsuit, and it was clearly filmed by a third party. "This footage is impossible. It must be forged." "I didn't film it, you know." I explained the situation calmly to the yelling mother-in-law. Of course, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to film such things myself. Then, who filmed it? As my mother-in-law muttered this, I handed my smartphone to the person next to me. "I did." "Wait, is that Kyle?" As Kyle spoke, Anna, who was also on the phone, raised her voice in anger. It seemed she was there too. "Why are you there?" Kyle had brought his brothers to this house as well. He explained the situation calmly to Anna, who was unaware of everything. "We can't become decent people if we stay in that house." Kyle spoke calmly about how his mother, Anna, had been harassing me. "It's embarrassing to say she's my mother." "What kind of way is that to talk to a parent?" Anna yelled again, and Kyle sighed. Then he handed me back the phone and said, "I don't feel like talking anymore." "Well, that's the situation. I will handle things with them." Saying this, I hung up the phone. Next, I turned to Kyle and asked, "What should we do now?" "I haven't decided yet. But anywhere is better than that place, even a facility." Kyle said this decisively. They had been neglected by their parents until they started living with my in-laws. Anna was out all day and only came home late at night. During the day, she mostly slept and never took care of the children. Grandma dotes on us, but doesn't let us do anything. It seemed the grandmother was overprotective in contrast, not letting them do not only dangerous things but also restricting normal activities. When they tried to study, boys should be outside playing, they were told, and sent out. And when they wanted to play outside with friends, "It's dangerous. Don't go out alone," they were stopped. Their days were filled with contradictions from the grandmother, frustrating them even though they were still children. Moved by sympathy, Erica and I decided to bring them to this house. "Then perhaps you can live here with us for a while?" Kyle nodded happily to my suggestion. Afterward, we reported their situation to the Child Welfare Office and sought advice. As a result, Anna and the others were stripped of their parental rights. Then, let's raise them in our home. It was Erica's father who suggested this. Although Erica was studying business management, she chose not to take over the family business, saying, "I will choose my own path." Currently, she is thriving in a small design company. Therefore, they wanted to raise Kyle as a future business leader. "If you're okay with it, I'd be happy." Kyle responded enthusiastically to the proposal. "I also hold deep trust and respect for Erica's father, and am confident that leaving Kyle and his brothers in their care is safe. Of course, I'll support you fully." Erica gladly agreed to take them in. Now, I can finally let go of that house without any worries. I thought this one day. "It's all your fault. Everything's a mess." Michael stormed into my office in a rage. According to him, I had taken the children away from Anna and spread rumors about his misconduct within the company. He came to vent his frustrations. "You've made it so I have nowhere to be at work." Michael blamed me while accusing me. Despite his rudeness, I decided to explain the facts calmly. "Do you think I don't know anything? The relationship with Anna had been going on even before our marriage, and he had approached me aiming for my wealth. No one listens to what a mere secretary says. Follow our rules." I was simply astonished by Michael's dismissive remark. My mother-in-law had always been prejudiced, but I didn't realize Michael shared the same misunderstanding. "You know nothing. I'm not just a secretary, but Mom said so." I sighed loudly at his excuse. "It seems you've forgotten that I am the president of this company." When I reiterated this fact, he couldn't hide his shock. Erica's father should have informed him when he introduced us. "It's impossible for you to earn more than me." Suddenly, Michael grabbed my arm forcefully. While I was resisting and saying, "Let go," a voice said, "Stop it right there." Turning around, there stood Fred, the lawyer who had come to help me. Actually, we had planned to meet afterwards to discuss demanding compensation. "Attacking a woman, you're the lowest." Fred sternly rebuked Michael. Taking advantage of Michael's confusion, I shook off his grip. "What are you doing?" People around us had called the police, and Michael was taken away. Fred watched the scene intently. That was close. But I'm glad we made it in time. Fred smiled at me with concern, and I felt a great relief from the bottom of my heart. His kindness touched me. As a result, Michael and his associates reluctantly agreed to pay the compensation. This is no joke. Why should I have to pay? Anna refused to pay until the end, but Erica's father's influence was significant. He used some means to ensure the payment was made. As they have not fulfilled their parental duties, this is the least that should be done to them. Erica's father said this with a snort. His capabilities as a president were outstanding among those I had seen. With an inescapable and strong network, escaping was nearly impossible. However, I wonder how he managed to prepare and make them pay. Anna had been a housewife with no work experience. They were barely maintaining their livelihood with my support and Michael's income. My father helped her find a job. According to Erica, her father found a job for Anna, although it was in a harsh working environment. For me, getting the compensation paid was a priority, so Anna's future was irrelevant. What about the ex-husband? Michael is paying properly. Michael had been detained by the police once. Though he was released soon as there was no direct violence, it seems his arrest record leaked to his workplace. Actually, Michael's reputation was never that good to begin with. He was the type who cleverly deceived people and had tricked many, but some of the smarter colleagues had realized his true nature. When our divorce became public, Michael's true nature started to be exposed. That's why some people were saying they always felt a dangerous vibe from him. As a result, the way people saw him changed, and he ultimately chose to resign on his own. The compensation was paid from his severance. That's reassuring. By the way, Michael also paid the compensation for his mother in one lump sum. His mother had no savings at all. Her unplanned lifestyle was one of the reasons his father left. Even after her husband left, she continued to spend money recklessly. It seems she was secretly receiving money regularly from Michael without telling me, which she used to get by. Why did you let Anna stay with you in such circumstances? She just showed up one day and stayed? Anna was Michael's former lover but had married another man. It seems the children were fathered by another man, and she was kicked out of her home when this was discovered. Unable to return to her own family, she came to Michael's house for refuge. His mother liked Anna because she was cute and close in age to Michael. Moreover, accepting that Kyle and the others were Michael's real children was also a reason she accepted them. In the end, Anna ended up losing everything. It will be interesting to see how much she falls from here. I laughed in agreement with Erica's words. Months later. Hillary, it's been a while. Really? It's good to see you're doing well. I had a reunion with Kyle. It had been quite a while since we met because he had been taken in by Erica's father. My previous dad came to see me. Anna's ex-husband, who loved them even though there was no blood relation, had come to visit after being contacted by Erica's father. We can't live together, but he told us he considers us his precious sons. He already has a new family, but he promised to regularly visit Kyle and his brothers. That's great, Kyle. Yeah. Kyle's face was full of smiles, a far cry from the shadowed expressions he had shown in the previous home. Seeing his bright change, I too was genuinely happy. It's because you protected us, Hillary. Thank you so much. To his words, I smiled and responded, if there's anything, let me know anytime. Erica, watching this scene, also had a warm smile. Initially, Erica declared, I will raise the children. However, she was unmarried, and despite having a stable income, there were many barriers to adopting someone else's children. Therefore, her father ultimately decided to take the children. I'm going to be a worthy successor, Kyle said, respecting Erica's father. He was still young, but aware of his responsibilities as a successor, his eyes were shining. Erica and I listened to his story with affection. I'm really happy to see you so happy, Kyle. After talking with Kyle, I muttered thoughtfully. According to him, his brothers were also actively living with Erica's father. Relieved by such a report, I walked through the streets with a light heart. Hillary. Huh. As I turned around in response to a sudden voice, I saw a gaunt Michael standing there. You've changed a lot, I was surprised. I was wrong. Please, let me try again. Michael apologized and suddenly began to talk about his recent troubles. Since we parted, Hillary, it's been one disaster after another. He quit his job and ended up using all his severance pay and savings for the compensation payments. Even though he tried to find a new job, his bad reputation preceded him, resulting in continuous rejections. In addition, my mother is still spending wildly, and I've ended up in debt. I coldly watched Michael with tearful eyes. Do you think just because I'm a president, I can solve your problems? I didn't mean that, but you must have a decent income as a president, right? Oh, according to you and your mother, wasn't I just a mere coffee-serving secretary? I said this sarcastically with a smile directed at Michael. Sorry, a coffee-serving secretary can't help with debts or provide assistance. Sort it out yourself. Hearing my words, Michael's shoulders slumped in disappointment. Taking the opportunity, I hailed a taxi and got in. Please go. I urged the taxi driver and left without further concern for Michael. That was the last I saw of him. Later, I heard through the grapevine that Michael had been caught by debt collectors and was put on a ship bound for a foreign country. His mother had fallen down the stairs and become bedridden. Karma, isn't it? Knowing their fate, I murmured this. Then, shall we get on with work today? Hillary, you tend to work too hard, so try to take it easy, Fred said with a gentle smile. We grew closer after that incident and are now happily married. Ah, That's right, today is. I know. You're meeting Erica, right? I continue to maintain an unchanged friendship with Erica, regularly dining together and deepening our relationship. But if you feel unwell, let me know right away. I'll come to pick you up. You're not alone anymore. Fred gently stroked my belly. We are expecting a baby with Fred. I couldn't think about children while I was with Michael, but now I feel truly happy to be expecting a child with Fred. Yes, I'll count on you if anything happens. Erica and Kyle have warmly congratulated us on the addition to our family. With their warm support, I am living happily day after day. Nicholas can sit in the passenger seat. Neva, you can walk home. It will only take an hour, she joked. Internally, I was stunned and thought, so that's how it is. I looked over at Nicholas, who was sitting next to my mother-in-law. He was busy fiddling with his smartphone, not looking our way. Are you listening? My mother-in-law asked with a smirk, expecting an answer. I almost sighed. Then Nicholas said, "Let's get going soon. I'm tired and want to rest." Encouraged by his words, my mother-in-law, with a broad smile, got into the driver's seat. Pointing to a nearby house, I informed her, "Our house is just a 3-minute walk from here. We moved into a $1 million house." "What are you talking about?" My mother-in-law asked with a puzzled expression. With a smile, I replied, "Oh, my apologies. It's not your house. I'll go ahead then." As I started walking, I heard her calling me from behind, but I ignored her and headed to my house. Exactly 3 minutes later, she followed up and exclaimed in shock, "What is this?" "I am Neva Ross, a 26-year-old housewife. My family has been running a business for generations, and we've never had financial troubles." Being the long-awaited daughter, I was quite pampered. "Neva is really cute. I would do anything for you." My brother, who was 10 years older than me, always said. His love grew with age, and thanks to that, I managed to avoid becoming spoiled. "People say, Neva, you have a friendly vibe?" And I do have a fair number of friends. After graduating from college, I got a job at a local company. Honestly, I could live comfortably just on the allowance from my family. But I took the job to gain some social experience. That's where I met Nicholas, who became my husband. He was my mentor at work, and we quickly got along due to his friendly nature. Nedra, right? Ah, it's Neva. Easy to mix up, isn't it? Nicholas glanced at my employee badge and tilted his head, to which I replied just as I had during my university days. "Huh. That's interesting," he noted. Perhaps that was the catalyst, but suddenly we grew closer and started dating after he confessed his feelings. After a couple of years of dating, we got married. My parents and my brother were thrilled and celebrated our union. It was right after our wedding that this happened. My mother was always busy and hardly at home, which made me feel lonely. That's why I want you, Neva, to stay at home." Nicholas requested. So, I quit my job and became a full-time housewife. Now I am enjoying peaceful and happy days. What would you like for dinner tonight? Well, I feel like having fish today. Asking him for dinner requests as I see him out saves me the trouble of planning the menu, as he usually has an answer ready. Nicholas usually comes straight home, so all I need to do is prepare everything accordingly. He's kinda late. No way. However, sometimes Nicholas comes home late without contacting me. It happens when his mother invites him for a meal. Nicholas? You're not home yet. What's going on? Oh, sorry about that. You see, my mom invited me over for dinner, so I'm at my parents' house right now. Nicholas replied without any remorse, his voice mixed with a sigh. He is generally a family-loving and kind person, but things get complicated when his mother is involved. Again with your mother. At least let me know. I already made dinner for you. Sorry, it was all so sudden. Oh? Mom wants to talk to you too. His words gave me a bad feeling. Right after that, I'm sorry, Mrs. Ross. A neighbor gave us some extra meat, and it's too much for just my husband and me to eat, so I invited him. I really apologize. His mother said with an apologetic tone. No, that's fine. I just wanted to be informed, that's all. While I responded that way, inside I thought, she doesn't really feel sorry at all. She dislikes me and intentionally invites Nicholas over suddenly. Mom was always focused on her career, so she kind of neglected me and doesn't really have many memories with me. Originally, his mother was not very interested in children, as Nicholas said. Yet, she invites him for dinner to harass the daughter-in-law from a wealthy family who wouldn't know hardship. I thought about inviting you too, but I figured it wouldn't suit the taste of such a lady. Her voice clearly contained laughter, as I sighed at this. What are you talking about? Echoed the voice of Nicholas's father. I apologize in my wife's place. When I asked about you, I was told you declined. There's no need for you to apologize, sir. Unlike his mother, Nicholas's father truly seemed apologetic. This happened every time. His mother would make snide remarks to me, and his father would apologize. Honestly, I'm tired of this exchange. But I said, the apology is really not necessary. Please tell Nicholas to take it easy, but not so much that it affects his work tomorrow. With that, I hung up the phone and sighed. At the beginning of our marriage, I did not think badly of my in-laws. During our wedding introduction, they said, "It's wonderful that such a lovely lady is becoming our daughter-in-law. Really, we're so happy to have such a cute girl as our daughter." They seemed kinder than what I had heard. However, the reality was different. A mother-in-law who harassed me and a father-in-law who tried to stop her with apologies alone. If only Nicholas would stop her. Despite their behavior, Nicholas enjoyed their attention. Apparently, he's happy to be cared for now, even if it's a bit late, after being neglected for so long. What a troublesome pair, I sighed again. Ah, Neva. You're still up. Yes, I am, after all, your wife. Nicholas returned home at midnight. Usually he would be back by 7 p.m., but tonight he came back really late. How relaxing it must have been at his parents' house. I'm really sorry, okay? Lately I feel like you've been getting angry easily. Not at all, I replied, feeling annoyed by his probing and quickly ending the conversation. As he said, I have been feeling emotionally unstable lately and was thinking about visiting a hospital soon. Ah, by the way, this is from my mom. Saying so, Nicholas handed me a paper bag. I knew what was inside without looking. Right, thanks. You took a bath at your parents' house, didn't you? Why don't you go to bed now? Yeah, I think I will. I watched as Nicholas quickly headed to the bedroom, then I glanced inside the paper bag. As expected, it contained food made from spoiled ingredients packed in a Tupperware. I silently threw it into the trash. This is also harassment, isn't it? Every time Nicholas visits his home, they give him this spoiled food as a souvenir. It's always something he dislikes, so he definitely won't eat it. Moreover, he hates even looking at it and hands it over without checking, so he doesn't know that the contents are spoiled. There's no point in telling him, he wouldn't believe it. Nicholas is naive in both the good and bad way. He wouldn't believe me if I told him his mother is harassing his wife. It must be a mistake, right? I'm sure my mom doesn't mean any harm. I once brought it up, and that's how he responded. Since then, I haven't talked to him about it. Instead, I have started venting to my brother. Being too nice can be a problem. That's right. He's a good person if only his parents weren't involved. Initially, he was furious and said, "I'll handle this," but after I told him not to, he just listened. He's well liked at work, too. Everyone respects him because he's genuinely a good person. Indeed, he is competent at his job and is known for his kind approach to teaching, which has earned him a good reputation. He truly is a good person if only his parents weren't involved. Even so, to change so much after getting married. Maybe I should look into it. Look into it. Neva, don't worry about it. Leave the rest to me. I nodded, though I was puzzled by my brother's words. My brother would never do anything that could harm me. That's why I have absolute trust in him. If only Nicholas could be as reliable. After ending the phone call, I murmured that and resumed my chores. Fortunately, my in-laws never visit our house without an appointment. Well, that also means I'm not called over to their house either. I really wish I could get along with my in-laws. Then, one day when we were maintaining this delicate distance, something happened. It's terrible. It's my dad. It seems my father-in-law was involved in a traffic accident and had passed away. As we rushed to the hospital, I found my mother-in-law already there. "Mom, how's Dad?" "He passed away before I got here." She said it calmly, without crying. In contrast, Nicholas was crying as he headed towards where his father was. Just as I was about to comfort him, I heard it. Finally, the nuisance is gone. I froze upon hearing my mother-in-law's murmur. What did she just say? Her husband had just died, and instead of mourning, she seemed almost glad. Neva, please stay with Nicholas. Yes, okay, I responded, nudged by my mother-in-law, and finally started to move. The days that followed were hectic. Neva, please arrange the funeral, and then. My mother-in-law did nothing herself and kept directing me to do various things. I managed to handle it all with the help of my family. I wish she would do a bit herself. Mom is having a hard time too. Let's just give her space for now. Nicholas defended her. Despite my internal frustration with him, I somehow managed to send off my father-in-law. Not long after that, Nicholas said something unexpected. I'm worried about Mom, so I think we should live together. What? Apparently his mother had told him over the phone that she felt lonely alone. Don't just decide this all of a sudden, without even consulting me. I'm worried about Mom. Please, Neva. I was already receiving harassment from her. Living together could only make things worse. Let's at least wait until after my doctor's appointment. Yeah, you mentioned you had an appointment. All right, we'll wait until then. Nicholas spoke as if he was conceding, with a hint of superiority. He had changed since his father's death. Perhaps spending long hours with his mother during the funeral arrangements had influenced him to start looking down on me. Continuing together might be impossible. I murmured, hand on my stomach. Then I contacted a certain person. 1 week later. As planned, I went to the hospital for my appointment and received the expected diagnosis before heading home. Ah, you finally came out. Outside the hospital, there was Nicholas, who seemed to have taken time off work, and, mother-in-law. Hello. She came to pick us up. It seems that upon hearing I was going to the hospital, my mother-in-law came to pick me up in her car. We're going straight to my parents' house now. Right now. Yes. From now on, we'll all live together. Oh, but... At that moment, my mother-in-law grinned mischievously. Nicholas can sit in the passenger seat. Neva, you can walk home, it will only take an hour, she said, laughing. Internally, I was dismayed and thought, so that's how it is. I looked at Nicholas, who was sitting next to my mother-in-law. He was fiddling with his smartphone, not looking this way. Are you listening? While grinning, my mother-in-law asked, and I nearly sighed. Then, Nicholas spoke up. Hey, let's get going. I'm tired and want to rest soon. At his words, my mother-in-law, with a broad smile, climbed into the driver's seat. To her, I pointed to a nearby house and informed her. Our house is just a 3-minute walk from here. We moved into a house worth $1 million. Huh? What are you talking about? At my words, my mother-in-law gave a puzzled look. In response, I smiled. Oops, my apologies. This isn't your house, is it? Well then, I'll go ahead. As I started walking, a voice called out from behind to stop me. Ignoring it, I continued towards my own home. Neva, my brother came too. My brother had come to meet me, and we started walking side by side. Our calm conversation, the first in a long while, gradually soothed my heart. And then, we're here. From today on, this is my home. Exactly 3 minutes later, we arrived at our house. While surprised by its size, I was thinking it was finally a place where I could settle down peacefully. What is this? My mother-in-law, who had followed me, let out a cry of astonishment and began to panic. Please stop making a scene, you're disturbing the neighbors. Quiet. What do you mean by this? As she continued to shout, I sighed and decided to explain. You know my family has been running a company for generations, right? I built this house using my savings from before I was married, with some help from my family's resources. Well, mostly it was Neva's own effort, though. My brother added to my explanation. I had been helping out at my family's company since my student days and had been saving my salary all that time. On top of that, I continued to add to my savings from my salary and allowances before marriage. Didn't you also include the salary from when we desperately needed help and you pitched in? Now, my brother has taken over running the family business. When the transition of the business happened, a veteran retired, which led to a temporary shortage of staff. During that time, I worked from home for a while and earned some money. That's when I started investing in stocks. Stocks, you say? It turns out I had a knack for it, and I was able to buy this house. I said this with a smile, and my mother-in-law looked frustrated. But why did you bother buying a house? If you had the means, you could have used that money to renovate my parents' home. I'm divorcing you, so there's no way I would live with your mother. I said this clearly to Nicholas, who looked puzzled. He stiffened and asked, What? Why are we getting a divorce? We aren't on bad terms and there's no infidelity. That's true. You haven't cheated and you haven't harmed me. But recently you've been influenced by your mother and started to neglect me, haven't you? Nicholas averted his eyes at my words, always so straightforward. That's why he's manipulated by his mother. Moreover, you don't protect me from your mother's harassment. No, it's not harassment. Mom doesn't mean any harm. If I had eaten the spoiled food she sent, both the baby and I might have ended up in heaven. At this, both Nicholas and his mother froze. What? A baby? You said before that I've become irritable, right? It turns out I was emotionally unstable because I'm pregnant. I said this while gently touching my stomach. In fact, right after my father-in-law passed away, I had a pregnancy test and found out about my pregnancy. Today, I visited the obstetrics department of a general hospital to get a definite diagnosis. I realized I was pregnant, and that's when I started taking action. Determined to protect my unborn child, I decided to sever ties with Nicholas, who failed to protect me, and his mother who harassed me. That's why I bought this house close to the hospital. I can't stay with those who are enemies to me and my unborn child. Saying this coldly, Nicholas looked at me, puzzled. If that's the case, it makes even more sense to live with Mom. This is pointless. Neva, you go inside first. Lisa is waiting for you there. Following my brother's words, I entered the house first. Neva. Ignoring Nicholas, I decided to rest. Welcome home, Neva. It must have been tough, right? I've prepared some tea that's safe to drink during pregnancy, so relax. Lisa, thank you. As I entered the house, Lisa, my brother's wife, and my friend, greeted me with a smile. When I decided to break away from Nicholas and his family, I had asked her to help move my belongings in. That's why she has the keys to this house. It's the least I can do. I met Thomas thanks to you, after all. It's my way of repaying you. Indeed, I was the reason the two met. Years ago, when I introduced them as close friends to my brother, they fell for each other at first sight. Despite the challenges they faced due to their 10-year age difference, they overcame them, strengthening their bond. I was so happy when you convinced our skeptical parents that they would be fine together. Of course. I know how much they love each other. That's why I decided it's my turn to protect you, Neva. Thank you. Having you here really makes me feel supported. Lisa will now be staying with me to provide support full-time. I hesitated at first, but eventually agreed after she insisted. Phew, finally got home. After a while, my brother Thomas came in, looking tired. From what he told me, Nicholas and his mom were persistently trying to get inside. I told them to stop going against the CEO, and they finally left. Actually, Nicholas works at the company where my brother Thomas is the CEO. So Thomas knows how Nicholas behaves at work. He didn't realize it was me until I spoke up. I find that concerning. Normally, you'd recognize your company's CEO at first glance, especially since Thomas became quite famous as a young CEO for a while. Maybe I should keep an eye on his actions a bit longer. It seems this suspicion had resonated with Thomas. There might be an investigation soon. If there's a problem, it's okay to fire him. But if there's nothing wrong, please don't let him go. Firing him is difficult to begin with, but why? Thomas looked puzzled, and I smiled. He needs to earn the child support money. At that, Thomas and the others seemed to understand. After a while, we decided to proceed with the divorce discussions with a lawyer involved. I thought I was doing the right thing. Nicholas claimed to the lawyer, but I paid him no attention. I have more important things to focus on. Hey, brother, you were going to investigate before our father-in-law passed away, right? Can you tell me the results? I was particularly concerned about what my mother-in-law had said when my father-in-law died. Yes, that's a good idea. It's best to be informed just in case. Then, my brother revealed a certain truth to me. So, that's why she called him a nuisance back then. Right after that, the house intercom rang. Lisa went to check and came back with a displeased look. He's here. By he, Lisa meant Nicholas. His mother wasn't with him, he had come alone. I asked her to let him in. Are you sure? Yes. I think I should make things clear once more." Nicholas, guided by Lisa, entered and was surprised to see my brother. Perhaps he thought he was going to meet me alone. "What brings you here?" "We can't get divorced without discussing things. I thought we should talk." Nicholas said this, his eyes darting around nervously. Suddenly, his gaze landed on an investigation report. "Oh, this? It's the investigation results about your mother." "Why my mother's?" That's when I told him about my brother's suspicions towards our in-laws and about my mother-in-law's statements. "You're her son, so you should know these things." With that, I handed the investigation report to Nicholas. After reading the contents, his face turned pale, then quickly flushed red. "Sorry for barging in like this. I think I should go back." Ultimately, Nicholas left without resolving anything. Watching him leave, I couldn't help but laugh, anticipating the turmoil that was likely to follow. "Neva, you really didn't need to say all that, did you?" "It's fine. Even if I hadn't said it now, he's going to experience the truth for himself soon enough." "That's true." Watching us laugh together, my brother gave us a warm smile. I was truly glad to have these two on my side. "What have you done?" The day after Nicholas visited, his mother appeared at our house. This time I decided not to let her in. "You must have done something. It's impossible for Nicholas to yell at me like that." Apparently, after going home yesterday, Nicholas had severely confronted his mother. As expected, I smiled at this development. What I did? I simply showed him the truth. The truth. No way. Yes, about your affair. It turns out his mother had been having an affair for many years. She wanted to marry her lover, but my father-in-law wouldn't grant her a divorce. That's probably why she called him a nuisance. So, my father-in-law didn't stop your actions because he was disinterested in you, wasn't he? My father-in-law was aware of her infidelity. That's why he refused to divorce her, as a form of revenge. And since there was no love, he only apologized when her actions caused trouble, and generally did not try to stop her. Because of that, the harassment towards me never stopped. It was really troublesome. Quiet. You never had any hardships as a wife. And what hardships have you faced? Faced with my question, my mother-in-law began to ramble on. She regretted rushing her marriage decision, which prevented her from marrying the person she truly loved. This, she claimed, was why she couldn't truly love her son, Nicholas. Is that so? But the hardships you mentioned could have been avoided if you hadn't had an affair, right? That's. And you say you couldn't love your son properly, but why then do you suddenly care for him now, while ignoring his wife? She looked away under further questioning. The reason is simple. You just wanted to take your frustrations out on Nicholas and me, didn't you? Her shoulders twitched at this accusation. Indeed, her torment was intended not just for me but for Nicholas as well. She couldn't marry the one she loved, yet her unloved son had married someone he loved, who came from a wealthy family unlikely to face financial troubles. So you tried to destroy your son's family. How terrible. Well, it must be satisfying to have things turn out as you wished. That's right, everything was going well, until you interfered at the last minute. What interference? You're the one at fault here. A voice suddenly cut through the air, and my mother-in-law turned around in surprise to see Nicholas, his expression furious. I've had enough of your schemes. Talking to your mother like that. Be thankful I'm not calling you worse. Nicholas, having spoken coldly, raised his hand towards the intercom camera. I'm sorry for the trouble at the very end. I will take her home properly, so please don't worry. Then, he dragged away his screaming mother, almost as if pulling her along. Who would have thought Nicholas could become that furious? I had never seen him lose his temper like that before. Despite everything, Nicholas has a personality that doesn't easily allow him to express anger. People like him are really scary when they finally do get angry, I murmured, recalling Nicholas's expression. A few hours later, I received another message from him. I'm sorry about my family. I completely understand why you want to cut ties, so I agree to the divorce. Thus, we decided to proceed with the divorce amicably. Nicholas committed to paying child support and agreed to give me a larger share of our assets. He seemed disheartened by the whole situation and appeared to have given up completely on our relationship. I do feel sorry for him, but I must protect this child. The baby inside me continues to grow. For the child's safe future, I decided to distance myself from him. I don't have the luxury to sympathize with Nicholas. I need to be stronger. That's the spirit, but make sure not to overdo it, Lisa said with a smile. Of course, I replied. Later on, I heard that Nicholas had resigned from his job on his own. After a thorough investigation, it turned out he's quite susceptible to influence and kept changing his opinions, causing trouble for others. My brother explained. Nicholas had sided with his mother until he confronted the truth and switched sides almost instantly. Having witnessed such drastic changes, I easily accepted this explanation. When I told him that, he resigned, saying he had caused too much trouble for everyone, including his wife. Such behavior was typical of Nicholas. However, he still needs to pay child support. He needs to find a job soon. Don't worry about that. I've referred him to an exceptional workplace, my brother said, a splendid smile on his face. Seeing him smile reminded me of how much he adores me. The job I imagine he has referred Nicholas to will likely be challenging for him. Well, he'll just have to do his best. He has to fulfill his responsibilities as a parent. I murmured, rubbing my belly. After all, Nicholas doesn't have much of an escape. The house we once lived in was part of the property division, which I received and have already sold. As long as his mother is around, it's unlikely he'll return to his parents' home. I'll keep an eye on him until he pays the child support in full. My brother certainly won't let him slip away. Right now, it's about this child's happiness more than anyone else's. With that thought, I leisurely started to think about names for the baby soon to be born. Soon after, I heard that Nicholas had moved out of his mother's house. My life is a mess because of you, Mom. If you had never been around. Apparently, their last argument was so loud that it echoed throughout the neighborhood. And now, because of this incident, it's become well known in the neighborhood, and he feels quite awkward. My brother informed me, as he continued to investigate our former in-laws. My mother-in-law, who had been working at a local supermarket, resigned after the rumor spread to her workplace. She has no savings and now she's unemployed. It will be interesting to see how she manages, I mused. In fact, I had filed for damages against my mother-in-law for the harassment I suffered. I had been diligently gathering evidence, and the claim turned out to be substantial. It might have been better if there had been any savings or inheritance from my father-in-law left. However, she had squandered most of it on her lover. With only that amount left, she couldn't even pay the entire compensation. You suffered because of her. It's only fair that she experiences some hardship too. After reading the investigation report, Thomas muttered this with a smile. A few months later, I safely gave birth to my daughter, Faith. Did you let him know? I did. He sent back a congratulations. After resigning, Nicholas has been working hard at the job Thomas introduced him to. There are many tough seniors there, and he is being rigorously trained every day. Do you plan to let him meet Faith? I don't intend to. Nicholas had asked to meet her, but I firmly refused. I have no intention of forgiving him for not protecting us, nor do I plan to let him meet Faith in the future. That's right. He needs to properly make amends. Thomas agreed with my decision. As for the mother-in-law. She got arrested, you know. Arrested. After Nicholas left, she proudly headed to her lover's place. However, her lover rejected her. Moreover, he fled far away. Angered by that, she went on a rampage and was eventually caught. At those words, I was inwardly exasperated. I knew she was selfish, but I never expected her to go on a rampage. She really is foolish. Perhaps even in prison, my mother-in-law might still be blaming me for everything. Well, she'll never appear in front of you or Faith again, my brother said with a cold smile. Next to him, Lisa nodded in agreement. If you both say so, then everything must be okay now. I felt profoundly reassured by these two remarkably dependable people. And true to their word, once released, they took my former mother-in-law to a remote island. She was to live there alone. People who hurt others need to be isolated, my brother remarked. But we'll arrange for her to work, so she'll definitely pay the compensation, he added. At that, I thanked them with a smile, and they both nodded with broad grins. Several months later. Good morning, Faith. Life is busy with a newborn, but with the support of Lisa and others, I've managed without any major issues. It was right to cut ties, wasn't it? Since then, there has been no contact from Nicholas or his mother. That allows me to live in peace. I heard through the grapevine that they are both isolated. It's only natural for people to leave her after she's always acted so selfishly. Right after murmuring this, I heard my beloved daughter's voice. Ah, faith is calling. I went to her with a smile. Thanks to my swift decision, I was able to meet this child safely. My decision was not wrong. If I had continued my married life with Nicholas, there was a real possibility of harm from his mother leading to a miscarriage. Confused by being pressed for a divorce, Nicholas must have been enraged upon learning the truth about his mother. If he had remained calm, he might have continued to say, "My mom would never do such a thing." And now I could have been spending my days crying. I'm so glad I have my brother and friends. With gratitude towards my brother and friends, I focused on raising faith.